lower backs and movement or lack thereof. So we'll start off just on hands and knees and just try to roll the lower back up towards the sky of the ceiling and then arch the lower back down towards the floor. You might find there's some movement further up at the shoulders. Try to keep the shoulders still so that it just moves at the lower back. Rocking the pelvis or sticking your bum out and then tucking your tailbone down towards your knees. So we'll do a couple more of those and just start to try and feel some movement at the lower back. You should also have your stomach muscles engaging as you pull the lower back up towards the ceiling, and then lower back engaging as you release or sink the spine towards the floor. So one more. And then we'll do a set on elbows. Same movement, rolling the lower back up and arching it. Try to feel that the hip socket is moving as well. So we're feeling movement within the hip socket. If we have tight hips, it often restricts how our lower back can move, and vice versa. If we have tight lower backs, it might restrict our hip. One more time. Back up onto hands. And then we'll go sideways. So bending everything like an accordion to one side, and then everything to the other side. And most of us will find we'll have a little bit more tightness on one side, or we might feel some muscles aren't engaging on one side. If you've had a slipped disc or an injury on one side, that might explain why. And often it's either over or underused because of that. So we've chronically tight muscles there or weak muscles. So try and find some movement in those. One more to the other side. And then we'll combine those two movements. So tucking in the hips, pulling them to the left, and then arching the lower back, pulling it over to the right. So essentially you'll sort of draw a circle with your hips, or a weird kind of a twerking movement. So rotating or twisting through, drawing kind of nearly like a figure of 8 with your hips. So whatever you can find movement wise, and just explore what kind of movement you do have in the lower back. And then of course by default also in the hips. By all means switch directions. And finishing up there. From there we want to stabilize the lower back. So pulling in the stomach muscles, controlling there so that this doesn't end up arching or bending. And then we'll just lift one leg up. And try not to drop or move the hips as we do that. We'll then lift the leg a little bit higher and tap it back down. Stabilizing everywhere else. Looking straight down to the hands so that the neck and the shoulders are in a good position. One more of those, and then switching sides. Again, making sure we have gentle little curve, lower stomach muscles engaged, ribs pulled in, and then picking up the leg. Tapping the knee, or you can also set it down and do these a little bit slower. Keep the elbows from bending so that they stay in the same position. One more. From there, we'll add in an arm. So we'll take the opposite arm to the leg and bring it straight out to the side. So you can just do the arm first and then pick back up the leg and bring that up as well. That should be a bit harder. Now you can drop both down with control, of course. Both up and both down. Try to feel the opposite shoulder to hip working at the back of the body. One more on that side. And a switch. Again, as we're switching, check the stomach muscles are engaged, lower back is in a soft little bend and a controlled bend, so there's some back muscles working. And then picking up the arm out to the side, and you'll normally find that one side is harder to control than the other. Especially if you do anything that involves being one-sided, any sports that you might play or anything you do work-wise. Or of course any injuries we might have caused ourselves. So one more and back down again. From there we want to get some freedom movement through the front of the body. So pop a foot out in front, stay on the knee on the other side, and bring ourselves up into a hip lunge. So we'll try and press forward through the hips, squeeze the bum as we do, and don't allow that to go into the lower back. So slowly going forward until we feel that we have enough of a stretch in the front of the hip without pushing into the lower back. So I'll just show you what pushing into the lower back would look like. Would be going into the back like that. Don't let that happen. Keep the stomach muscles engaged at the top. Obviously you have to let go here, otherwise the hip flexor won't stretch. And then bring the same sided arm up. And just hold that for a moment. And then twist towards the side that you're stretching. Keep squeezing the glute on that side. It's going to give you the stretch at the front. And then look up if you can, or if you need to, and lean back a little bit. And then we'll do a twist back. So taking the same hand as you're kneeling on and twisting back. Twist through the hips. You want to feel this hip bone open backwards, or twist backwards with you. And then we'll go back to our first move, reaching the arm up. Squeeze the glute. You want to feel that engage right underneath the glute. So through the hamstring and glute, little twist through the side. Keep squeezing, and then have a look up and a little bit of a lean back. And then we'll do the other move. From there, hand to the front and swivel back, opening up the front of the shoulder here and twisting back through the ribs and the hip. One more round of those. Now you might find at this point you can lean a little bit deeper into that stretch. So if you can, go for it. Keep the glutes squeezed. There should be nothing happening at your lower back. Twist. Little look up. Back to the start. And a swivel open. Keep that knee over the foot on the right side if you're opening up the left side. Back to the start. From there, switch over. Again, find the spot where you can lean into that without pushing into the lower back. If you're not sure, put your hand against your lower back and feel yourself moving forwards without compensating there. Now you'll also obviously feel if it's painful, so you've got to stop if that happens. Squeeze the glute. Reach up the same sided arm. Twist, lean back to the start, open through. Now you want that shoulder to pull right back. Might as well get a little bit of work done on the shoulder. And there's very little twist here. The twist is happening at your shoulder. Back to the first one, up, squeeze the glute. If you need to, you can lean into that a little bit more. Twist, look up, back to the start. Hand can go to the outside of the knee here, so you can push against the hand as we twist. One more round, up. Now again, if you need to lean into that more, do. Just check we haven't compensated here. Lift the ribs up and away and try and get a breath in while you're up here, while you're twisted. Back to the start. Knee stays over foot. Twist, make sure we turn our head that as well.